So an example is like if I go to the supermarket and I want to buy alcohol or cigarettes, I can actually use zero knowledge proof to confirm or prove that I'm like above that like necessary age without having to review like my real age. So
welcome to the Alpha Podcast, made possible by West Coast Customs and Neverland Studios, hosted by me, Jussup. Before we begin, I want to remind everybody that what you're about to hear is not financial advice, nor do we endorse any of the guests or projects on the show. This is simply meant for educational purposes, and oftentimes I'm learning about these projects in real time as we're recording them. While this is brought to you by West Coast Customs and Neverland Studios, the opinions expressed are of my own or the guests, and not of the companies. So without further ado, let's tap into the episode.
hi everyone. So my name is Hans, and I'm an investment associate at Sino Global Capital.
Cool. And what is Sino Global?
Yeah, hi. So we're venture capital, but I mean we really focus on kind of bridging the Western and Eastern markets. So basically what we do is we help our portfolio companies really tap into the Chinese and Indian markets, basically to help them bootstrap the Asian community and reach like a wider community.
And what kind of things do you guys invest in?
I think on the higher higher layer, like we're very kind of chain agnostic. So it basically means that we don't limit ourselves to a specific chain or a specific solution or development. So we are very early supporting Solana ecosystem. I think that's definitely like a heavy or core like focus for us. But I mean, we do kind of see a lot of like interesting developments across different chains, right? So I mean, AVAX ecosystem, you have the subnets. Polkadot, you have the parachains, and obviously you have Terra, you have Cosmos ecosystem, and I mean we also look at the layer 2 like scaling solutions, so predominantly kind of like the ZK rollup ecosystem, so Starkware, ZK Sync. Yeah, we really focus on many layer 1s as well as kind of the infrastructure, the tooling on top of it, and also like DeFi in general, right? So it's I would say like we're very agnostic and look at different aspects in the space.
Sounds like it. Do you guys do many gaming projects?
Yes. So we actually focus with the metaverse, which is I think pretty interesting, like umbrella term that covers like NFTs, GameFi, SocialFi, and also DeFi aspects, right? So we do kind of look at different verticals. So we can look at DAOs, the toolings, right? So the analytical toolings for GameFi projects, but also GameFi project itself, right? So a lot of quote unquote like AAA games that are kind of being developed in the space. What else? Also like infrastructure, like for gaming, right? So also like marketplaces, for instance. So we really do focus on like heavily on the GameFi ecosystem.
Sino as a whole predominantly focuses on Web3 products, right?
Correct.
And what got you into the Web3 space?
I actually joined the crypto space in 2017. So that was really prior like to the altcoin hype cycle, right? So I was studying back then, and basically my teacher, like he gave me like a very, I think like interesting introduction about Bitcoin. So yeah, we actually read the Bitcoin white paper, and I mean, I studied finance, so coming from this financial background, a lot of things that I read in the white paper made a lot of sense, and especially kind of how kind of the current monetary systems are kind of flawed, and I mean with negative interest rates and also like high inflation and money printing, right? So I mean the kind of like the traditional financial ecosystem, monetary systems like kind of execute. So like looking at it in aspect, like I mean Bitcoin did seem like a very interesting alternative, right?
Right.
Especially when we talk about sound money. So actually then moving forward, 2018, 2019 came. So bear market, right? So there was like a long period like bear market. So basically, yeah, my portfolio went down about 80-90%. So I lost money, right? But I mean that was actually very interesting because I mean during bear markets, that was actually a very, I think, good opportunity for me to learn about the technology. And back then, I mean, Bitcoin was still like the thing, right? So I was learning about like atomic swaps, Lightning Network, hash, etc. All these kind of like interesting developments, right? So then, I mean, we had DeFi summer, like simultaneously, I was also studying for my master's degree, right? So, I mean, I think one of the beauties about like Web3 and like being like on Twitter, like I just saw like this post of Matthew like reaching out like, hi, I'm looking for DeFi crypto analyst, right? So I actually reached out, and I mean, we had like an interview and some chats, and we just vibed and actually got this role. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
What about NFTs? Are you an NFT collector?
So in 2017, you had like CryptoKitties, right?
Yeah.
Which were, I think, big thing, and it was actually, I think, the first like big time where, I mean, ETH was very congested, and we actually figured out, ETH is not like able to keep up with the speed and scalability, etc. And I think with this kind of last like NFT cycle, which was, I mean, bigger, right? So I mean, that's where, I mean, CryptoPunks and all these other like PFPs started to blow up, and I mean, yeah, a lot of interesting kind of, I would say like short-term like plays. I mean, PFPs are cool, right? I mean, it kind of represents some sort of like social status. So,
right.
And especially kind of coming from this like anonymity, pseudonymous like backgrounds, like people in the space are actually anonymous, right? So like having anime PFPs or boarded yacht clubs PFPs, I mean, it's actually very interesting, a way to actually like represent yourselves and have like different Web3 like native identities.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think NFTs are very interesting. I think what's also like very interesting about NFTs are kind of possibilities, right? So I think with GameFi, etc., like SocialFi and DeFi, you can actually like use NFTs for all kinds of purposes. So I think maybe like a example that I like to use is like your CryptoPunks, right? I mean, they actually are some sort of like social status, but it actually like with the social fi aspect, it can actually like you can use your CryptoPunk as some sort of like token gated like access, so ticket to get access to like exclusive like parties, right? So I mean that's actually what's happening with the boarded yacht clubs. Like so actually, if you are an NFT holder of whether it's CryptoPunks or boarded yacht clubs, you get access to private like parties, right? Also, I think the financial aspect is very interesting. So especially, I mean, when you can use NFTs or the underlying technology, the ERC-721, as like integrated or I mean leveraged for financial application. I mean that's also very interesting, right? So for instance, using CryptoPunks as collateral and being able to use that as collateral and opening like a borrowing lending position on Aave or right. So I mean that's very interesting.
I assume you see so many projects as investors. What are some things that you're really looking forward to in the space?
Generally, like what I'm being focused on lately is really the ZK ecosystem. Right?
So the what?
Zero knowledge proof. So ZK and with those ZK rollups, and I mean,
what does that mean?
Zero knowledge proof is actually very fascinating, like technology, because basically using that kind of technology allows you to kind of verify or prove certain like outcomes without having to review the online information. So an example is like if I go to the supermarket and I want to buy alcohol or cigarettes, I can actually use zero knowledge proof to confirm or prove that I'm like above that like necessary age without having to review like my real age. So I mean, if for instance the threshold to buy alcohol is like 21, I mean in real life I'm 25, right? So I can actually like using zero knowledge proof, I can actually show that I'm meeting that threshold, right? So I'm actually above 21 without having to tell the cashier that I'm 25. I think that's a very interesting technology, and I mean,
I talked to somebody from Secret Network. Is that similar to what they're doing?
Yeah, so I think for Secret Network, I mean, that's obviously like an interesting development on Cosmos. I mean, they're layer one, and I mean, we've been looking at them, and they're not actually using zero knowledge proof, right?
Oh,
I mean, but I mean, they're definitely like privacy focused. So I think kind of the base chain is like has these kind of native privacy solutions. So I mean, allows you to use like DeFi applications or NFT solutions
without
like
exposing the information.
With native like privacy features, right? So I mean, Secret Network is also pretty interesting. Yeah,
what you're talking about, and then Secret Network, it raises that there's clearly a need. So like we've created this space that is you can see everything, but then it also shows all of there is no privacy.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. I mean, especially with a lot of I would say these data analytical companies like Chain Analysis, etc. Like I mean, them moving forward. I mean, also you see them collaborating with like more institutional parties like the government. So I think there will be like a wave where kind of privacy really matters, right? Especially I mean, so currently like with mixers like Tornado Cash, for instance, and I would say like people generally associate like these mixers like Tornado Cash with bad stuff, right? And so whenever I mean people use Tornado Cash, like people are like, oh, you're like trying to obfuscate money or you're trying to avoid taxes. I mean, that's not always the case. So sometimes like when, for instance, something like with chain analysis, I mean, one to kind of protect yourself and you don't want to reveal everything, right? And it's not necessarily because you're trying to avoid taxes or because you want to do shady stuff. It's just like, I mean, some information you don't want to reveal, right?
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be illegal activities or sketchy activities. You just don't want to share it with like some parties, right?
Anybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. So do you yourself collect NFTs?
Yeah. So I actually hold like a zoo. So I mean, whether it's like apes or butterflies or some random NFTs, I think I have a very like weird collection. Like I mint some and some actually, I mean, they stay, but some are really like going to zero. So I mean, yeah.
So you have a lot though.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah.
Like, is it on one chain or pretty much all chains?
Yeah. So I would say mostly like ETH, but also like Polygon, right? And I mean, I also bought like on Boba Network, which is like a late.
Yeah, I literally just
Boba, and also AVEX, right? So I mean, I do have NFTs on different chains, but I would say majority actually comes from ETH, right?
Yeah. You've done Solana, I assume?
Yeah, oh yeah, obviously Solana. Solana is definitely some of them actually. I think most of them are actually now close to zero or like minus 80-90%. But I mean, it's not to make money. It's just kind of for fun, right? Actually minting NFTs and using them as PFPs. I mean, bragging with friends. I mean, that's actually very interesting.
It's also sometimes funny when it goes to zero with your friends and you're all like this. Now you've built a community on people who've lost. We lost together.
Exactly. I mean, I think this wave of NFT is actually very interesting. So I think when I was like in 2017 when I joined crypto, right? It was mostly like you were mostly like first buying Bitcoin. So that was actually like the first asset like you were purchasing, and then I mean you were kind of buying like altcoins like Ethereum,
Ripple.
Ripple, yeah, for instance. Right? But now I think with this wave, like a lot of like normies, like average people, they actually like buy ETH or other like assets like to actually directly convert that and I mean being able to buy NFTs, right? So it's actually a very interesting trend. So I do think like NFTs are very interesting in the sense that they actually onboard and accelerate that like mainstream adoption.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which is something that I think is very important and, you know, like what we are doing significantly because of the fact that we have millions of people that I would say a lot of them have no idea what's going on. And then we also are trying to figure out like while we're building the video game, how to make the user experience so nice that some of them don't even care to understand what's going on. Exactly. They just want to use it and have the technology to assist that, essentially.
Yeah. So I think for normie friends, for average people, right? I mean, they want to kind of benefit from these kind of novel technologies, novel like solutions, like with crypto, right? But I mean, you want to make it like very seamless. Like the front end experience should be like very flawless and also very like user friendly, like with very low threshold, while being able to benefit from these like new solutions or novel developments, right?
Taking that into the gaming, we've seen some of the actual gaming community push back against NFTs, and it's funny because I think what is going to end up happening is you look at big gaming institutions, like when you now give the power to gamers that when they buy a digital asset and they own it, as opposed to like if you have a skin in Fortnite, you can't flip that. It's almost changing the financial model completely. And then you have people in crypto that are building games that are only for earning, that aren't fun. And I think there is a big gap right now of creating really fun games and great ecosystems and how to merge those together.
Kind of like with the game fan, X Infinity is definitely, I think, one of the kind of like the first name you think of when we talk like play to earn models, right? Yeah, I mean, the play to earn economy is a very interesting development and a very interesting model. And like some people probably like disagree because it's like they believe it's unsustainable. Which, I mean, obviously, I think with the scholars and the guilds in this space, there's, I mean, a lot of kind of about money, right? So I think for the people in Philippines, Indonesia, like they play these games, many because, I mean, they earn more than their average, like, salaries. Right? So it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, whether that's sustainable or not on the long run. But I do think like with these kind of GameFi projects and play to earn models, you actually onboard a lot of new like people in this crypto space, right? So and also you're actually helping like like people in developing countries to earn more. So I think, I mean, there's some pros and some cons, but I mean, overall, I think like getting more people within like the crypto ecosystem, I think it's a good development, right?
Right. We'll see a lot of people probably get into the space because they're into games.
Yeah. So I think actually gaming is a very important development for kind of mainstream adoption, right?
Totally.
We have so many gamers, and I mean, like AAA games, like I think that's actually going, like GameFi is going to be a very huge pillar, or I mean, it's already starting, but I mean, over time, I think GameFi is going to be a huge like pillar or area that's going to mass on board, like a lot of normie people.
What was the last NFT you've minted?
I actually recently minted Shield. So I saw it on Twitter, and people were talking about it. It was a very interesting model. And I mean, today, to be honest, I don't even exactly know what it does. And also, I would say like a very interesting like NFT that I've been recently kind of involved with in terms of like collecting are those crypto unicorns. So they're actually on Polygon. And I mean, you can actually buy like unicorns, buy the lands, right?
Oh, cool.
And actually, a lot of people are talking about crypto unicorns, and yeah, I'm pretty excited for the game. Yeah, these unicorns and the lands are pretty hype right now. But I mean, I'm very excited to see how the game actually works and how you can use these NFTs within the game. Right?
Cool. Do you have any car NFTs?
No, not really.
I think we're gonna have to get you on.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, we got the MetaWhips that just released, so we'll get you
All
a
right, sounds
MetaWhip.
good. Actually expanding my NFT collection.
Yeah. Where can people find you on socials?
I mean, they can find me on Twitter, Telegram. So Omniscient Asian, that's my crypto handle, right? So it's yeah. Basically, and also like Sino Global Capital. So I'm on the homepage. So
I appreciate your time, man.
Sure.
And thanks for coming on.
sure, thank you, man.